So the internet is chock full of some stupid, overwrought, overworked and, attention-seeking opinions. So we thought we would take the ones relating to Liverpool and judge them heavily. I'm Paul Machin. Chris Pajak is here. Ste Hoare is here. And we are the Redmen. Join us as we delve into this one. Ste, this is your brainchild?
I mean, I've robbed it off Greg James on Radio 1, but... Yes, mate.
But yes.
Over the last...
Totally right.
Entirely mad.
I've added the Liverpool twist on it. Mate, I've seen
some... bought the steak, but you see, it's the seasoning that makes the difference,
exactly.
innit? Do you know what I mean?
Just sprinkling on the extra little
salt stay over there.
There's some mad... There's just... the internet's always been mad. The internet over the last 6 to 8 months, maybe a couple of years, has gone even madder. And I put out on the socials, send us in your most unpopular Liverpool opinions. I've sent it in some WhatsApp groups with mates. I've sent it everywhere. And to be fair, we've got some absolute belters, and I can't wait to tell everyone who was right and who was wrong. What's this? Are you having a beer? All right. Pajak's enjoying himself.
Sorry, I don't know what's just happened. Chris just produced a beer from nowhere. Bitten the top off it.
Like a true judge.
What's happening?
I just fancied one. I looked in the fridge before and I was like, I just fancy a beer, okay?
Start.
I just need to stop shaking. So, yeah, cool. So,
if we're the judges, there's always one funky alcoholic judge.
Oh, God,
that's fine.
Yeah,
like airline pilots.
Yeah. So, we have repurposed 2 sections from the rankings board. This is how we're going to judge it. There is no room for middle ground.
It's the internet. There's no nuance.
100%. No nuance has no place in this studio today. It is simply either going to be a boss that we agree with, or are you messing?
That's
stupid.
It.
That's it.
Really?
Well, yeah. I mean, don't sound like you don't know, because you've literally got the card under your table.
Shush.
So can you show everyone your cards?
Yeah, sure.
Lay your cards out on the table, which is a great visual gag. There it is. Brilliant.
One for the viewers.
Podcast listeners rejoice at Chris's visual humour. So, we've got a list here that Ste has expertly curated. There is at least one celebrity entrant into this. If you can guess who it is in the comments correctly, then we'll give you the big pat on the back and possibly a shout out on a future show. But also probably not, because we'll forget. But it
feels like more work for me.
Steve will give you a definite shout out on a future show. So first one comes from Jay, who says, "It's time to let bygones be bygones. Michael Owen should be appreciated way more by Liverpool supporters."
Okay.
Chris's face says, wild disagree.
Am I right in saying that there'll be a majority decision here if we don't all agree? Because I think that's
I have got no idea how any of this is going to go.
Let's do that.
Yeah.
I think I tend to agree, because there are some people who left Liverpool in unsavoury circumstances or did other things who eventually got welcomed back by Liverpool support. I think like Fernando Torres got booed for ages.
Yeah, remember him playing for Man United?
He left to go directly to Chelsea.
Okay. Man United.
And then
for 50 million, which was above his market value when he was crocked.
Okay. I'm just saying, other people, eventually we do let bygones be bygones. Trent got booed and then 2 weeks later got cheered.
Because we got told to do that.
Yeah. Jürgen told us off.
Jürgen came out. Jürgen travelled over to Liverpool and got a shirt signed by him, and then stood in front of some of the richest people in the city and fought his case.
What I would say, there are people who are quote unquote legends of this football club, and sometimes you use that term loosely, because like legends games where it's just lads who have played for Liverpool. Like Michael Owen is a legend of Liverpool, like in terms of how good he was, what he helped us do, what he helped us win. He was literally the best player in the world while he played for us. So I see the point. I'm a forgiven man. And I think, what happened, how he left wasn't great. Although we did get some money for him. Going United was obviously a stinker. But I think for what he did, I think it bothers him as well. When you hear him speak about Liverpool all the time, and I think it still really bothers him, and that kind of bothers me.
How old are you?
I am younger than I look.
No, but like, just I've got a point to this. I'm not trying to skate you out. How old are you? Go on, how old are you?
I'm 37.
So good, because I was gonna guess at around the 36, but I think there is a clutch of Liverpool fans, or are a clutch of Liverpool fans, who were Liverpool fans at a particular time of their life. So they're probably now between the age of like 33 and 37, who are desperate to have Michael Owen like sort of have this sort of resurgence, maybe to a little bit, maybe you're the youngest, so maybe it's 37 to 40
Is it the
or
people
whatever.
whose first love was Michael Owen?
It's the people for whom Michael Owen was their first love, 100%. Whereas he never was for me. I loved Michael Owen at the time, and I keenly felt the annoyance and heartbreak of it, but I didn't love Michael Owen as much as I loved Robbie Fowler, as an example. So I don't have that depth of the real depth of passion towards him. And Chris, whose face looked like someone had just basically wiped the shit under his nose when we had this one read out.
Look, I think he was an unbelievable footballer. I think he was absolutely superb. And I think where the disrespect comes from is they forget how good he was for us. I've got no problem with any of that and saying how, brilliant he was. But I'm not letting bygones be bygones because he went to Manchester United. And it's as kind of simple as that. I can still respect him and love him for his time at Liverpool. But you made your bed, now lie in it. And whether that's for 20 or 30 or 40 years, I'm fine with.
Does it really matter that like a washed up Michael Owen had a year or so at Man United though, really? Like, it doesn't bother me that much. Like, in other sports, this happens quite a bit. Like, we're big NFL fans, and some fella do like a random year on another rival team, and then
they seem to forget America is king of capitalism.
I was going to say America is the king of forgiveness. That's what you're going to say.
King of capitalism. Yeah, that's where that rules. Where you're a hired gun and you'll go wherever that is to go. We're an exception to that exists in so many ways in English football. I'm not the Man United thing. I'm not even that arsed. It did annoy me a bit that he won a league title with them. That at the time it annoyed me. It doesn't annoy me anymore now. The thing that always annoyed me with Owen was I just thought that if he actually genuinely wanted to play for Liverpool, he'd have got back to Liverpool.
He had the chance, didn't he, when he got to Newcastle?
But he bottled it. Because, and this was Owen all over, Michael Owen always saw himself as Michael Owen, this great player. Never saw himself as a great Liverpool player, saw himself as a great player. So he was England's Michael Owen, and he thought, I'm going to go and be a star at Real Madrid. And he had whether it was the World Cup, it would have been the World Cup, wouldn't it, 2006. So he wants to make sure he's in England's plans. If he just dug in for half a season, he'd have come back to Liverpool for an acceptable fee. But he shit the bed because ultimately, and it's easy to do revisionism now, he cared more about his England career than being a Liverpool player. So I've got no great positive feelings towards him.
He says Liverpool wants him, Newcastle a bit more than Real Madrid says it's either go to Newcastle or not. And now what you're saying is properly kick off, do an Alexander Isak if you have to, if you're proper, and get back to Liverpool.
There is no precedent been set for a player digging their heels in and getting a move involving Real Madrid. So, hopefully they had no history to call upon, and that's never happened since either. So,
I see your point from earlier though, because Michael Owen, maybe it is the era thing, because he was my favourite player when he was of that era, because I thought he was the best player in the world. He got voted, he was unbelievable. So maybe if it was me, and I think I would agree with this take, but I'm sensing you two don't.
I think he was a brilliant footballer, but no, not for me. And the thing is, I actually, if you don't bring it up to me, I'll never talk about it. It doesn't bother me enough. Yeah. Like, to actually go out there and start, I'm not going to say bad about him for no reason, but if you bring it up, I'll be like, no, it's all right, Tar.
It's more like if he ever played at a Legends game, which he did, and he got booed at one of the Legends games when he played. That would still happen now, wouldn't it? I think
if the question was, should Michael Owen be booed at Legend games, my answer would be no, he shouldn't, because he's putting on the red shirt.
You know what he is? He should, at the best, I will accept, the best he should be appreciated is the way that we appreciate Steve McManaman. That's the best I think you can hope for. Because when you say legend, and you're right, there's loads of people that will say legend. Anyone who played in a really, truly successful Liverpool team with enough time just becomes a legend. But in terms of like for how good he was, he should be alongside Steven Gerrard and Kenny and and Salah in due course. But he's not, because he was just a lad who just played for us for a bit and then went on to further his career. Steve McManaman did exactly the same thing. Nobody hates Steve McManaman, but nobody ever thinks about Steve McManaman. Nobody, people, he might have been your favourite player at the time, but no one's clamouring to have Steve McManaman added to like murals.
It's the meme these days, isn't he?
Yeah. Well, that's
we'll have a look.
So should he be appreciated way more by Liverpool supporters? Let us know in the comments. Boys.
I would say boss.
Steve.
Boss opinion.
Steve agrees with that opinion.
Boss opinion.
Chris.
I'm afraid it's not boss for me. It's your messing for me. It's your messing for me, mate.
Unfortunately, you're messing. Disagree with that.
So was Jay. I was fighting your corner, pal. But so be it. Right. I enjoyed that.
Okay. Next up, from Sai, Andy Carroll was good. What do we? I'm not sure I'm in on this. I don't like this.
It feels like we're bashing players for no reason, doesn't it?
Yeah. Andy Carroll was all right.
Andy Carroll without the injuries would have probably been all right.
And that's a low bar. Listen, we are not here to bash footballers, and it's just someone's giving an opinion. Listen, I think he was the wrong player at the wrong time.
I think he's the wrong player at any time for Liverpool. I can't think of a player like that that's worked in the last 30 years for us. We've tried. Crouch is probably the exception to that rule.
And he was a better player.
And he was, much more of a ball at his feet type of job. For me, the player just doesn't suit the club. I mean, you can go to, I think, about like, these big guys like Benteke who came to us, who was absolutely fantastic at Aston Villa, just couldn't do it for us. It's just a wrong club for that type of player because ultimately we're a bigger football club and we expect our teams to play a certain way.
Liverpool this was the early days of analytics, and Damien Comolli was like, right, get on this, lads, crosses. So we're going to buy a big lad who heads it, and we're going to get lads who cross the ball loads. So we bought Stuart Downing and we bought Andy Carroll, obviously not in that order, but down on the left. And by the time, within like a year, and Downing says this himself, his best position was on the right wing because footy had changed, because inversion was the thing at that point, and it was just old hat. It was old news. It was vintage late 90s to early 2000s Premier League, big man, little man, Carroll and Suarez, cool. Whereas modern football should have been Torres, Suarez. That's what you should have done if you were going to build a side that was going to be competitive, notwithstanding Torres' legs being gone by that point. Carroll was absolutely fine. He gets far too much hate.
Even now, people last night people were singing to Val Vegas, "You're a shit Andy Carroll," and it's like it is. Him and Heskey seem to be the ones who get really disrespected. Maybe I've just disrespected them by throwing your message straight on the board, but
what fucking crazy that people would disrespect Andy Carroll. Says man who immediately laughed off, alongside us, by the way, the idea that Andy Carroll was good.
Like the one thing you've got to say about Andy Carroll is he loves the footy.
Still playing,
loves footy. He went to the French second division last year.
I think he loved fucking pills and summer festivals loads more when he was an actual prime footballer, which is the major concern. Mate, maybe allegedly, but also, anyone remember the red cap picture? There's a famous red cap picture from a summer festival, like fucking V Festival or whatever, and there is no way that he's not mashed in that picture. I'm not having it.
Okay, that's fine. I've got to hit a theory very quickly before we move on, Andy Carroll. If he signed for the wrong Merseyside club, he'd have been an Everton legend.
Yeah.
They would have loved Andy Carroll.
Would they have won the semi-final?
Maybe. they would have loved him. They'd have had crosses coming in, banging heads.
That's the type of club that you need to play for.
On the semi-final, by the way, Andy Carroll still gave me one of the best days of my life.
Yeah.
That semi-final.
2012.
We could not have lost that.
Yeah.
There's just no way. We could have lost that, so fair play to him. But I think, sorry, it's a sigh. I'm going to say you're messing.
Yeah, let's see the other one more time then. Andy Carroll was good, is the opinion from Sai.
I say you're messing.
We're going with you messing.
We're being very negative here, boys. We're two you messings out of two. You
put them in this order.
Having said this, they are meant to be unpopular opinions.
And laughed your absolute dick off when I read.
They are meant to be like crazy unpopular ones.
I suppose they should all be you messing then.
Yeah. Unless we're crazy too. Crazy.
Well, no, exactly. Yeah. Graham Allen. Stevie dived to win the pen in Istanbul, and the easier option was just to stick it in the bottom corner.
Who said this?
This is from Graham Allen.
Okay.
Oh, Graham. He dived. He defo dived. He goes down like a platoon, like a bullet in the back of his head.
Absolutely. I am in a 100% firm agreement that Steven Gerrard died for that pen in Istanbul. And can I also point out that he did it the next season? I think was it Luton, I want to say, maybe. There was a couple of instances, certainly, at that season and beyond, where Gerrard just went, we need to get a goal here because we're rubbish.
I remember Sheffield United, the way and he didn't get touched and fell over, and they give a pen, they were like, well, there was an intent to tackle him, and Neil Warnock was like, what the fuck?
What's an intent
what
to
the
tackle
fuck
someone?
is that? Like, he just got a penalty because he was Stevie G. I think he's trying to get, is it Gattuso? I don't know, he's trying to get him sent off, isn't he? That's probably why, I think that's a boss opinion.
I think that's a boss, Shelton. Yeah, I don't think there's any
Popular
more.
opinion then this time instead of unpopular opinion. Louis Garcia's ghost goal.
Was it over the line?
Was it over the line?
No.
But yeah, unpopular opinion.
Was it over the line?
Lewis Garcia's goal did not cross the line. We're not getting sucked into this. He fell out with us on Instagram the last time we did this.
Yeah,
no, it was Garcia's goal. Definitely a goal. Right, so yeah, go on, Chris.
Graham.
Stick it up.
Boss.
Graham Allen, boss. Steven Gerrard did dive to win the penalty in Istanbul. Tomka. Shaqiri was one of the most gifted players during the Klopp era, and Liverpool could have achieved more had he played more. Very underrated. Now, I will highlight...
No. I agree that he was a really good player, but like he was just not on Mo Salah's level, and so Liverpool would not have won anywhere near as much if it wasn't for having Mo there almost every single week.
Who's he playing? So Mane and Salah. Like with all due respect, I agree with the first part. He was technically very good, and it's mad if you hear like interviews of players who've played with him, even like Liverpool players, and they sort of like who had the best left foot. Like his name gets brought up quite a bit. I remember the video. I think it was Trent and Robbo did one. They like who got the best left foot, and it was Salah or Shaq, and he picked Shaq. Like, but Liverpool wouldn't have won more if he played more because Salah or Mane wouldn't have been in the team, and that's just
unthinkable.
Crackers, absolutely crackers. Good footballer.
Yeah, messing.
Yeah, Shaqiri's problem was that he didn't fit the formation that Liverpool played. So you needed to play 4-2-3-1 to play him. And when the couple of games where we did, and Salah played centre forward and some, and we played a 4-2-2-2 at West Ham away, and he plays an absolute stunning ball through over the top in that one. Talented player, big hand in Barcelona 4-0 win as well.
Huge. I think the biggest problem with Shaqiri was actually his pressing, because that was one of our best attributes as a team, and he just wasn't as good as anyone else.
He also went away without telling Klopp and got a hair transplant, which meant that he couldn't head the ball and couldn't train properly for a period. So.
He was technically excellent, excellent, but yeah, we wouldn't have won more. I can't have that whatsoever.
Yeah, we 18-19. We get 97 points, and would Xherdan Shaqiri have helped us win that Man City game? You know what I mean? Like
would they have knocked the ball an inch over? Like,
yeah.
Very quickly, I remember the game. I think it was Southampton when we played that mad formation. I think Shaq scores and has a good game, and then Klopp takes him off at half time. He was like, I can't have my team looking like this. He was having the best game he's had for years. He was like, no, I'm not doing this.
Right. JT Hargreaves, Darwin Nunez was a far better player for Liverpool than a lot of people like to admit. Work rate, presence, and occasional crackhead behaviour meant he was always a threat, even when he wasn't finishing his chances. Rate that take.
What is the consensus of what Nunez... Do people just talk about him now like he was like dog shit? Is that what we're thinking here?
Because I thought Darwin Nunez was absolutely fine. He was a capable footballer. In his first 2 seasons, he was like maybe a best 1 in 3. In his third season, he's nowhere near that. But so like far better than a lot of people. I mean, if we're saying he's just a shit Andy Carroll, then he was far better than a shit Andy Carroll. He's far better than Andy Carroll. But yeah, what's the baseline? How does he feel people are rating him? Because I just thought he was all right.
The price tag counts, don't it? Like that people class him as like a horrendous sign, and I don't think I don't even think he was a horrendous sign. I remember people saying like he's the worst Liverpool player I've ever seen. I reckon I can name 50. You know what I mean? Like so in that regard, then he probably is underappreciated or he's over criticised. Probably, but Chris, I'm
just trying to look for some stats on something dead quickly. Look, I think it's really difficult. But I'll give you one stat from one season from Mario Balotelli for Liverpool. 16 matches played, 10 starts, only 1 goal. Darwin Nunez got 11 in his best season, and I think maybe 7 or something in his worst.
In the Premier League.
In the Premier League, yeah. So by what we thought we were getting, he nowhere near hit the standard. Mm-hmm. But what we got wasn't anywhere near as bad as some of the players that we've signed over the years. And ultimately, he is a part of us winning the league title last season, which I think we shouldn't forget either.
How has JT framed the question in the first part?
He's just saying he was a far better player for Liverpool than a lot of people like to admit.
I would agree with that. I would say that's a boss opinion then.
I don't think he was far better than a lot. I don't know.
He got 9 goals, 11 goals and 5 goals in the Premier League over the 3 seasons.
And he gave us some of the best moments. Listen, ultimately, Liverpool right to sell him, and he wasn't of the level, but he was... I'm going back to my opinion, not this mad, but my basis on what I think people think of Darwin Nunez is that some people treat him like he was like Balotelli, like the worst, and he just isn't that. So that's why I think I would say it's a boss opinion. I think he was a lot better than some of the narrative around him, like the shit Andy Carroll stuff and people celebrating when he left. I think that was a little bit over the top.
Okay, if that's the standard, then go on, Chris.
I think finally for me on him, then I was one of those players who got so frustrated by him, like for so long. Because he never hit the heights that we expected. That was kind of it, to be honest with you. And, for me, it's easy to get frustrated game by game, but you do have to take a step back and you have to look at it and go, do you know what? Double figures goals for a couple of years, it's not a bad return. The price was too much. He wasn't the player that we were expecting. We probably thought he was going to be at the club for 8 to 10 years. It hasn't been a successful transfer, but you can't say it was one of the worst either.
No. So... boss opinion?
Yeah, I think it's a boss opinion.
Okay. Can I add one? Darwin Nunez would have had a better season last year if Jurgen Klopp was still manager.
He probably would have gone on the pitch more, wouldn't he? For a start.
I think he would have continued his upward trend. Not to, he's all of a sudden a 25, 30 goal a season, but he increased his goal output in the first 2 seasons. And I think he would have increased it.
You say that, but by the end of it, Klopp had dated them as well. They kind of fell out. Like, he wasn't picking them as well. Darwin Nunez ended both seasons with the managers not fancying him. So I'm not sure, if I'm honest. I thought if anything, Slot was going to be like a rejuvenate, a second chance. Because I think Klopp had sore his arse with him. I think if Klopp stayed, he might have gone last summer or something before. Okay. So I would.
Yeah, Klopp talked about it in the diary, the CEO, didn't he? Where he said. At the end of the year, people were talking about Darwin's reaction when I was leaving and stuff, and you could tell that the lad was kind of happy, basically, because he wasn't getting his opportunities under Klopp. So, no, you're messing, Paul.
Okay.
Soz, Paul. I think you're
devastating. Soz Darwin. Ste Mane better than Salah.
Oh.
Sorry, no, leave these off screen. Nonsense. Utter nonsense. What are we doing? Why would you even waste your time typing that?
Yeah, listen, Mane, brilliant. I think he's the most important signing Liverpool made of the club. I've said that a few times, but I've also said I think Salah's Liverpool's best ever player. So you could have put literally any name before that arrow and I probably might have had a struggle disagreeing with it. I think people don't talk about Sadio Mane enough, even now. Like in terms of, like, you see these debates of like Premier League 11s and all this stuff. I saw a thing the other day where it was a quiz and someone had to guess like the all-time African top scorers, and I think Mane was second. And this guy couldn't figure out who it was. His head was spinning. Like, which African player? Like Sadio Mane. He was like, oh yeah. Really, it should have been Mane. It should have been Salah Mane straight away. So
Sadio Mane was for me is an era footballer. And I think there's loads of them, and that's a really high level to reach. So the players who are like, I think he's in the category with like Robert Perez, and I think he's in there with Eden Hazard, and I think he's in there with like Gianfranco Zola as an example. Possibly, yeah. Well, from a Premier League perspective, but maybe Bergkamp is a little bit of a stretch. But what I mean by that is fantastic for the period while they were there, but never quite broke into you're going into the Mount Rushmore conversation. Is kind of the point there. Whereas Salah is that. Mane is in a Liverpool sphere, is more John Barnes than he is Gerrard and Salah and Dalglish. If you were there and you remember him, you'll remember him bloody fondly because he was absolutely brilliant. But for whatever reason, he just didn't get out of that bracket. So, I mean, I just think it's nonsense because it's Salah, and Salah's proven he's struggling at the moment, but he's still going. Mane left and was done. Basically, his career was basically nowhere, never come close to getting back to the level of game once he left Liverpool.
Yeah, I would say it's you're messing. I think it's a bad opinion, that. Chris.
It's much closer than people give credit for.
How?
Because I think Mane was unbelievable throughout his entire career. I don't think he's better than Mo Salah. I don't think he was better for Liverpool than Mo Salah. But this is a winger who was essentially scored 179 in 439 league games in his career. That's better than most strikers. Most top draw strikers over the course of, a 15-year career getting a 1 in 2. And he wasn't even a striker. Like, come on. He was so much better than people give him credit for. But in terms of the opinion, Salah was the most important forward player maybe for Liverpool. I can't even say it then because I actually think Bobby Firmino was just as important.
Well, there we go.
I think that I don't know whether any of them reached the levels that any of them reached without the other.
Okay, try this one on for size. Mane was better than Roberto Firmino. I don't think I agree with that. I think Firmino. I think that's a lot closer, and I think it maybe boils down to personal opinion. But people watching at home, if you just had to, this is not we're not trying to slate either of them because they're all fabulous footballers. But, if Mane's not better than Salah, was Mane better than Firmino?
I enjoyed watching Bobby Firmino the most, and probably Sadio Mane the second, and probably Mo Salah the third. Because of the way that they played football.
Say that again.
I probably enjoyed Firmino the most, Mane second most, and Salah third.
I think I agree with that. Yeah, I think I actually loved Mane more than Salah when they were both in their prime, but Salah was better.
So we think you're messing. I'm glad we don't have to answer that. That was the question. I'm going to skim that because I wouldn't know. It would be one that
it's one for the comments.
One for the comments. Yeah. You're messing. Sorry, Mr. or Mrs. Name who rhymed.
Destina. Okay, this one comes in from Patrick. Patrick says Jordan Henderson wasn't that good. Patrick says Jordan Henderson wasn't that good. I'm sorry. Fucking nonsense. Absolute nonsense.
I would go the other way and say Jordan Henderson was way better than people give him credit for. I remember you asking Jürgen on the documentary, all everyone ever talked about was Henderson was like his leadership and his ability and his passion, and it's like he was a good footballer. Like he was excellent. His passing was fantastic.
He's great in small spaces, passing. Yeah, and his technical ability was really underrated.
He's still doing it now.
Was it lengths to stress that he thought it was crazy that people just thought Jordan Henderson was just some guy who runs around and shouts at people. Like.
Yeah, he did that as well, though, wasn't he?
Yeah, well, yeah, that not only, but also, yeah. I was going to say on Jordan Henderson, I think that if he'd not gone to Al Ettifaq that summer, I think we'd have won the league that season because I think we totally and utterly missed him in the year
like the leadership values more.
Not as a start every week for Liverpool, but we put an entirely new midfield in that summer, but having someone who knew it all, who had the leadership qualities. And okay, Van Dijk getting the captain's armband is a huge thing, and I think that's helped elevate us in some regards. But I'd still have Jordan Henderson in Liverpool squad now instead of Wataru Endo.
I think there's at least, to add on to that, one more season in 13-14 where we win the league if we have a Jordan Henderson available to us another time. And I heard you talking in the office upstairs. You think there might be another?
Yeah. There's arguably 2 seasons there with more Jordan Henderson. Liverpool win more, and that's one of them because he had obviously suspension for that. He had injuries at times, which obviously held him back a little bit. But nah, I'm not having that.
Sorry, Patrick.
Go on.
Yeah, nonsense. You're messing, Patrick.
Sorry, Patrick. Really sorry. It's just opinions. It's a game of opinions.
That's literally the show.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, genuinely. I think Go on, here's one for you. Jordan Henderson, better Liverpool captain than Steven Gerrard. Oh, Chris has gone straight for boss.
No.
I think he was. I think he was a better captain. Like, I don't think he was a better player. Nowhere near like as good a player, but I do think as a captain, he was up there with the best that we've ever had, and he can stand shoulder to shoulder with any of them. So for me, and I only go based on how I heard him as well at the match, especially during those COVID years on the telly and stuff like that, and what people have said about him, you know, who don't have to come out and say things. And it's not just Liverpool players and Liverpool managers. It's the opposition. You hear it all the time. I can't believe Henderson talking and the way, like, I was listening to the radio last week. I can't remember who it was. It was a footballer, ex-professional now. And he said, you can't believe that he's able to run and do all the shouting because it's just so intense what he was. And as a leader, as someone like that on the field for Liverpool, I don't think there's been anyone better. Certainly not in the Premier League era.
Certainly the best trophy lifter we've ever had.
Oh yeah, 100%.
By an absolute mile. I think the thing just on the Henderson stuff, because he had to suffer the slings and arrows of being played out of position in his early as a very young player, you know, at the start of his Liverpool career, came out the other side, and then, you know, 13, 14 as mentioned, go and watch highlights of every big win of that season, and Henderson is all over them because he was doing Gerrard's running, and that's one of the reasons why the Chelsea game goes so poorly, you know, with the slip and all that, is because Henderson's not on the pitch.
And 1920, go and watch 1920 again, right? And Henderson's amazing. Yeah,
and he's the one. Ask any one of those players. We did a documentary. People were lining up to talk to us about Jordan Henderson, queuing up, and they all were talking about the role that he played, again, off the pitch, the stuff that you never get to see as well. So, yeah, I'm not having that. And what I
will say, actually, to add on, sorry, mate, is I think as a club captain, Gerrard's probably better. I think as a captain for a team, I think Jordan Henderson was.
What?
You know, like, what people would come to the club because of Steven Gerrard, or he'd go and speak to them, and he'd actually help the manager out in some regards. But as a figure for the team outside of Liverpool, Gerrard's a much bigger draw. So I get, as a club captain, we can't come close to him in that regard.
Steven Gerrard is, in the wrestling terms, for me, the guy you didn't need to put the belt on because you'd come and see him anyway. You know, I do say you don't need to make Undertaker champion because you'll pay to see Undertaker whether he's got the belt or not. Whereas Jordan Henderson elevated himself and the things around him. I honestly don't think Gerrard. Yeah, and Gerrard was a really good player and was definitely a very good captain for Liverpool. I'm not saying Gerrard wasn't a good captain. I'm just saying I think Henderson was better. And lastly on him, the fact that he was English. Players like that really struggle to get over with Liverpool fans. They really, really do. You know, Adam Lallana had similar sort of issues as well. It's like it's local fans will take Scousers on much more easy. I think fans of Liverpool who aren't from Liverpool don't warm to Scousers in the same way that we do. They don't give them as much of a free ride that we do, and I think it flips for English players. So yeah, he had that to contend with as well. Okay. Whew. Right.
I like the show.
This is all right. Deck. Klopp should have made Trent a midfielder from day one.
That's a good shout. I like that one. That's a good one. Because, so Jurgen effectively needed a right back, saw this lad for the 21s or the 18s, where everyone was like, yeah, he can be my next right back, go and get him trained up. And then he took Klein's spot, didn't he? Mm-hmm. So, is the theory, if he just let Trent be a midfielder forever, he'd have been better?
The thing is, you'll never know. But would Trent have gotten anywhere near the team if he was a midfielder? Because if he was that good, if he was that good, he'd have surely been in greater consideration for it. Was it just never?
Maybe, but also at the time we had no right backs and no money, and Klein was injured a lot, so we had to kind of. He clearly looked at who's the best player. Fuck it, right back. Let's go and shove him in there. I always presume, and I think everyone did. The plan was always going to be. Get him in at right back and eventually he'll go into midfield, the Gerrard path. And it never happened. He just stayed at right back. The difficult one is he became one of the best right backs in the world, didn't he?
Yeah.
Being a right back. Would he have ever been one of the best midfielders in the world? Maybe if he trained it, because England put him in midfield in that tournament and he lasted 2 games. But that's because he hadn't done it before. Mm-hmm. But if he'd been doing it like from the age of 17, 18 in the Premier League, He'd have been a very good midfielder, I'm certain. He could have been that ball playing number 6, Pirlo-y type thing, maybe.
It's an eras thing. I think in like around that 2012, 2013, 2014, when just ball playing DMs came back in vogue, that type of era, yes. But by the time Trent's coming in, it's Fernandinho to Fabinho to Rodri is like that's what you want, and Rice, you know, to some extent, that's what you want your 6 to be. I'm not sure.
He could have been an 8 though as well, because Jurgen did play him at 8 at times, didn't he? And get him, you know, that Fulham goal comes around. That became like the break glass option of that season, is get Conor Bradley on or get a right back on and put Trent further forward. So I think it's a tough one, because I think he'd have been good in either of them, but he did become an unbelievable right back. A right back who went to Real Madrid because he was that good. Would he have ever been a midfielder who got himself to Real Madrid? Probably not. And
you can't know, because he's definitely been the best right back in world football while he's been playing right back. At that, you know, and I know we kind of don't have to beat that drum anymore, so I don't really care about that now. But he was, you know, he's up there in the brackets of the best ever to play right back in world football. Would he have been? Could he have gotten to that level in midfield? There is, of course, no way of knowing. But I'd love to ask him: would you rather have been a Premier League standard midfielder or the best right back of all time?
Yeah, for me, I sort of have to break it down in a slightly different way. I go, if Trent was a midfielder, do I think we could have won the Premier League twice and a Champions League with him playing midfield? And I can't actually see a pathway where that was the case.
Someone else would have to be right back.
Yeah, exactly. It's just, I'm not saying it couldn't. Of course, Liverpool could have signed a fucking really good right back. But like the way that Liverpool played with Andy Robertson and Trent Alexander-Arnold, it was fundamental in our success under Jurgen Klopp. So for me, I get it. I understand why people have thought it and all that type of stuff. But like, it's a real sliding doors moment where you could walk away with no trophies if you do that. Whereas I actually saw what happened at right back, and I quite enjoyed it.
Yeah, I'm sold. Sorry, Dech.
Yeah, no, 100%. You're taking 10 to 15 assists out of your right back area every season. You know,
it's a big old gamble, that.
You might be saving like 10 goals though. But no, I think we agree. You're messing, Dech.
Yeah, Dech is messing. Whether he wants to believe it or not.
I like that one though. That made me think.
Scott Dog.
I could have wrote anything down there. You'd have just said it.
No, that's not true.
That would have been me.
That's definitely would have been this. Rafa says, Scott Dog, Rafa wasn't as good as people think he was. He played boring football.
No, I don't think that's the case, you know. I don't think that's the case at all. I think Rafa was one of those managers who came in and tried to make things solid and then built on it. There was times when we would just rip teams 4-0 loads. And I actually, Rafa, this guy's not involved in this conversation, Jose Mourinho. His best Chelsea sides ripped teams apart, and they just, once they got the solidity at the back, you'd start to see them go and score those goals and stuff. Rafa Benitez was exactly the same. For me, and so yeah, Rafa Benitez was a good manager. He's always kind of for improved teams. You don't go and win European trophies, of which he's won a few, without being a good manager. You just don't.
That 2004-2005 season, unplugging Istanbul for a moment from it was hard graft. It was hard watching. We were so poor in the first half of that season. That was the one I remember because I was living away. I had to start playing five-a-side again because I was just so depressed by football and so down in the dumps. The only way I could get around it was to start playing footy again myself, just to kind of get that out the way. But equally in that season, to start to bring the Champions League stuff back in, we beat Leverkusen 3-1 home and away. We beat Juventus in that run, and I know the Chelsea comes down to the ghost goal and that kind of stuff, but there's some thrilling games of football in amongst it when it started to click, and that was someone else's team. That was him having Michael Owen stolen from him, basically stolen from his plans before he's even begun, and being handed in return the princely sum of £8 million and Antonio Nunez, and go ahead, mate, figure that out. He and the footy got better every single season.
Go and watch 08-09 and tell me Liverpool are boring. The second he got Torres, Gerrard, Alonso, Mascon, once he had the players who allowed them to play expansive footy, Liverpool were putting fours past Man United, Real Madrid. They were smashing teams, playing them off the park. So he was a good manager. He didn't always play boring football. So I would say you're messing Scott Dog. And you're messing with your name as well.
Scott Dog is messing. Terrible. Anthony says, Ngo and Florent Cinema Pongal could have been huge players for the club had they had better opportunities. I want to give the strong hips the shout and give some love to Flo, Cinema Pongal and Anthony Latalek. But,
great. Is that what it says?
Yeah, they could have been huge players for the club.
Can we lump Bruno Giroud into this conversation as well?
If we're going,
we may as well. The next Xherdan.
Ngo was an absolutely fine, cheap as chips. If you squint and look at their basic gait and how they play football, version of what you had from Fernando Torres, but very little more than that. And Pongal, there is a hypothetical world. We start 2005, 2006. We go away to Betis, and Peter Crouch and Pongal. I think they might even both score, or they're both or maybe Crouch doesn't score because that was that early in his career. But they're brilliant. Flo scores a really good goal, I think, in that game, and you think, oh, I could see a world where Crouch is the target man. You get these skillful players around him. That was very much footy manager, where you had your one up front and you had your inverted wide people running in, the Antonio Cassano formation, as it were. Pongal maybe. But I'm not convinced on the Ngo thing.
Yeah, I would be willing to accept the Cinema Pongal thing a little bit more. I'm not having the Ngo thing whatsoever, to be honest with you. Nah. So, I always just presume, by the way, you get opportunities by being good enough. It's very rare someone does, if you're that good, you'll play. Like, that's how footy works. At some point, you're that good that the manager has to pick you, and that's just how it goes. Unless you fall out and it's personal, you will get your opportunities to play. No manager picks a worse player constantly because that manager wants to win games and win trophies. So I tend to believe you fall where you're meant to fall, kind of things. Yeah. So
who did David Ngo sign for after he left Liverpool?
Bolton.
Did you just see it?
Well, it's on my screen.
Yeah. Well, there was no need for you to. It's fine. All right, Dan.
Bolton.
I couldn't have told you that off the top of my head. Do you know where he went next to?
I do. I think Chris might. No, I don't.
Swansea.
Yeah. Did he? All right.
Yeah. Do you know where he went next, Paul?
Ream.
And after that?
I mean, it's in front of me.
We're just reading the same screen, boys.
The point is that his next opportunity is Bolton. He has 3 seasons at Bolton, scores 14 and 81. That'll be league, which is, there's players who scored less than that. But you're right. That you take the opportunity.
Can you share screen, or have you got share screen on, or
probably,
anything like that? Right, okay. Just make it big. The teams.
Yeah.
And can you share it now? Yeah. Those teams, if you switch Liverpool and Paris Saint-Germain around, get progressively worse throughout his entire career.
Yeah.
Bolton, Swansea, Reims. What's that?
Panionios.
Ross County,
Budapest, Honved, Zalgiris, and Panionios.
So if he was good, those teams would get better throughout his career, not the other way around.
It's like the EastEnders theme tune. Dum, 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 dum.
I want to do... Who did Foreign Cinema Pongal sign for?
After us?
Probably went back to France.
Nope.
I've got no idea.
I'm going to go...
Spain?
And say Villarreal.
So he goes on loan early doors from us. Obviously, there's the Le Havre one, which is that weird one, I think, which is half of us waiting for him to sign for us. There's a little Blackburn loan a little bit later on. He goes to Recreativo, which you go and what gets 22 and 68 there. And then goes to Atletico Madrid for a couple of seasons, and even then goes to Sporting. But he does a loan at Zaragoza, Saint Etienne, and then it's when he goes to Rostov and Chicago Fire and a bunch of others, including Dundee United. But that's where Pongal had a bit of something. So I don't think it's wide of the mark, but I don't see a world where Pongal was going to be a superstar at Liverpool.
Whose name was it? What was his name?
It was Anthony said they could have been huge players for the club had they had better opportunities. You're messing. Okie dokie.
Shaw's aunt.
Okay, final one. Strap yourselves in, ladies and gents. Matty says Luis Suarez shouldn't be classed as a Liverpool legend. He wasn't here long enough and couldn't wait to leave. Twice. Do we agree with that take, or do we disagree with it?
Oh, Matty's. That's a good one to finish.
I think he might have a point. I've never thought about it like that, but I think he's got a really good point. What I will say is that is the best season of football I've seen from any player in my 42 years on this earth. And so I think I can rationalise it and say, I do agree with you. That is a boss opinion. But I have also, he's the best player I've watched in a season live.
Yeah.
It's so tough.
It's a legendary season, not a legendary Liverpool player.
The end bit is the one because we all hate players who get off. And he tried to go to Arsenal and then definitely made himself get to Barcelona.
Yeah.
He wasn't here that long. He was brilliant when he was here.
And then, instead of trying to win us over, scores against us in the new camp for Barcelona and knee slides in front of the fans celebrating. He doesn't deserve to be called a Liverpool legend because he's not interested in being a Liverpool legend. He's not.
No. He also, he wasn't great when he was here in terms of other stuff as well, which bear that in mind, which is, I think ability-wise, he is a top 10 at worst Liverpool player, in terms of actual, I'm probably 5, and it might be 3.
He is, Luis Suarez is the best footballer to ever play for Liverpool.
Talent, in terms of talent. Yeah, I think you're right, he's up there with all of them, but I think I might agree with this opinion. I think because of everything we've said, how we acted sometimes when he was here on the pitch, how we acted off the pitch in terms of trying to get out of here, that Barcelona thing, you're right, in terms of, he webs Andy Robbo and injures him as well, as worth mentioning in that game. It was the home game against Barca, wasn't it? The reason that we ended up with Wijnaldum on the pitch, ironically, was because Suarez gets his own back a little bit on Robbo. I think Matty might. Is he right?
I think he's right.
What with Liverpool? There's even with a high bar, even with the highest of bars, there are still lots of footballers who fall into the legend category. I don't think we need to lower it for conversation's sake. So, to the point, look, he doesn't even he wins the League Cup when he's at Liverpool. It's not like he even is in a team that wins stuff.
Owen won more,
yeah,
and did more in his Liverpool career than Luis Suarez did in his Liverpool career, and they both left in a bad way.
He did the interview, didn't he?
I didn't put Owen in there. I wouldn't allow Owen in there, so I can't allow Louis in there either.
He did the interview, didn't he, where he, on the front of the paper, Brendan Rodgers has isolated me and I want to go to Arsenal. That was bad.
Luis Suarez.
Also, he blatantly let Arsenal know how much to bid.
Yeah.
The 40 million of the quiz.
Someone in his camp did.
Yeah.
So
what in the Morgan Gibbs White? He scored 4 goals in 13 appearances in his first season after signing in January. He scored 17 in 39 the next season, which was known to all of us as the woodwork season. In 2012-13, he scored 30 in 44. And then in 13-14, scored 31 in 37.
So it's three and a bit seasons.
3 seasons. We've 3.5 seasons at Liverpool, 3 seasons of being excellent for Liverpool. One of definitely being the 3rd best player in the world, behind Ronaldo and Messi at the time. But wanted to leave, bit people, racially abused another player, and then when he left, was not contritious in any way, shape or form, but wound the Liverpool fans up by celebrating in front of us. Bearing in mind, people might be watching this in the future, Hugo Ekitike scored a no-look goal against Frankfurt and then apologised immediately afterwards. Luis Suarez, if he could have climbed into the Liverpool fans and gone, he absolutely would have done in that environment.
The question is mathematical. I think he was here long enough to be classed as a legend, because I think 3 years of excellence, being one of the best players in the country and in Europe and in the world, in fact, I think that bar's enough. Mm-hmm. I think you can be a legend after 3 amazing seasons like he got, because I think John Aldridge is a legend, and John Aldridge, for example, wasn't. You know what I mean? But John Hodge didn't want to go. He got forced out. Luis Suarez twice in 3 summers was like, please, just let me get out of this fucking football club. I will go to Arsenal to get away from I will go to Arsenal to get away from yous. I think Matty, I think he's right.
I think he's right.
Matty's right.
And he became a Barcelona player.
Absolutely. Go on then, Chris. Matty's opinion, Suarez shouldn't be classed as a Liverpool legend. Well done, boss, for that one.
Like that.
Slams gavel down.
Order.
There we go. Yes.
All that
That's
court noises.
sorted all that out unequivocally. Disagree with anything? Let us know in the comments section, of course. Gentlemen,
You don't need to tell them that.
thank you. I know.
They do that for free.
Yeah, everyone loves a CTA. Thank you so much. Make sure you like the video and subscribe to the YouTube channel as well. It is much, much appreciated. And if you want to get more from us on the We Are The Redmen series, then we've been ranking stuff in the past. We'll put some videos on screen for you to go and check back and check them out as well. So thank you so much. See you all soon. Ta-ra.